Have you ever realized how often in war zones cultural heritage is attacked? Have you noticed how often strategically parties attack the cultural heritage of others? The Buddhas of Bamiyan in Afghanistan were completely destroyed in 2001 by the Taliban, and in Timbuktu during the coup in 2012 or 13, when the Islamists entered the town and started destroying all the cultural heritage, many people risked their lives to save old, ancient originals of manuscripts from the Islamists. Nowadays, Timbuktu is still a cultural desert when you compare with what it was before the conflict. It was a mecca for artists from all over the world, and it was one of the strongest cultural spots all over Africa. Why do the arts and artists become targets in conflict? Because the arts and culture are expressions of people's identity and our very core of being. And powerful people know what is the potential and the power of arts and culture. It shapes people's minds. And very often, the existing narrative conveyed to arts and culture don't serve those conflict parties because they want people to think what they want them to think, so they are on their side. Welcome to today's second TED Talk. I would like to invite you to learn more about how culture and the arts can be powerful tools for promoting peace, peaceful living together, standing in for freedom of expression, standing in for pluralism and cultural diversity. Because this is how we in Helvetas want to shape people's minds. More than 10 years ago, when I was working for about 5 years already in peacebuilding, I decided to do something else. So I organized, I founded my small little association to promote artists and arts in culture, in conflict zones and from conflict zones. This was a big investment. It took a lot of research, it took a failed project, it took another degree, it took starting to work in the cultural sector. A lot of small steps, which ultimately led me to do a successful culture and arts peace project. And after that, it took some other steps to get me where I am today. At Helvetas, I have the opportunity to promote arts and culture as a tool for peace building and for social change. And with the few projects that I have been able to set up by now, and hopefully there will be more of them, I would like to convince the organization that the arts and culture do matter, that they do have an impact on people who have some way or the other been in touch with those projects. As I will show you through some examples, the arts affect both people who do it, the artists, and people who enjoy it. Because both groups feel touched by the art. It evokes emotions and is often more powerful in conveying messages than other means. So in the next 15 minutes, I'd like to take you on a journey through 3 different continents, visiting arts and cultural projects. And I would like to start in Palestine. I once met a guy who was working for the Freedom Theater in Jenin refugee camp in West Bank. He told me about his organization and explained me that they are working to support people in overcoming the trauma, hopelessness, and chronic fear that they are living with every day. And this they do through arts and culture. The population, particularly children and youth, go to the theater because they see it as a refuge that helps them to take a break from the gray life in the camp, from hopelessness, poverty, a lack of perspectives, and violence. The theater offers young people training, not only in theater, but also in filmmaking and photography. And these are all forms of expression that allow people to overcome difficult experiences. Some youth also decide to become professionals in theater and stand on stage and represent the stories of their people in the camp. The theater gives them a chance to express themselves in a safe space. Talking, writing, or playing, they find ways to deal with the hardships of their everyday life. The effect is healing and empowering. Instead of reacting to violence with counter-violence, for example, they manage to channel this bad energy into some creative process and convert it into a creative energy. And the result is not only empowering for them, but also for those who visit the products, who go to see the exhibition, who go to see the theater, or any other thing they have made, for the people who then identify with this and see their reality somehow reflected. So art strengthens people's resilience. It empowers them as it helps them to create sense in a situation where they lack perspectives. It serves them as an outlet for difficult emotions, and it creates beauty in deprived places. And beauty relieves pain and creates happiness. And we know how important happiness is for sustainable development. Also, the arts can spread messages. It transmits people's voices and creates wider platforms for people to be heard when they express themselves. Here's how this can happen. Let's visit a group of farmers in Colombia that I have been living with. They have been displaced from their lands by armed groups because of the fertility and wealth of their land. I was living with them as a human rights observer, and in the moment when I was with them, they decided to return to their lands. In spite of a palm oil company active there with protection of paramilitary forces. The farmers have a strong singing culture. This is part of their region, part of their traditions. And many of them compose their own songs. So these farmers, instead of singing about love and betrayal, sing about their own displacement. When the state officials heard about the intention of the farmers to leave their village and go back and return to their land that they usually cultivated for many, many decades, they started to get interested and came to visit the farmers and hear more about their case. Now imagine some state official coming to the village. One of the farmers standing up and singing a song for them, openly criticizing the government with a smile on his face. And then, when he finishes, the governmental official smiles as well, claps his hand, and thanks the farmer for the song. This is what motivated me to make the farmer's dream come true, because they always told me when I was living with them, let's make a CD. We want a CD with our songs. So the project Les voy a contar la historia was born. I joined a group of communication specialists, documentary specialists, and we created a CD with the farmers, with their songs, and we also made exhibitions. We made a documentary movie telling the story of the farmers and of the power that their music is for them, a peaceful means of resistance. The result of the project has been that the farmers were invited to conferences to sing about their displacement. They filled concert halls. And with the CD, they were even nominated for a category of special recordings of some kind of Colombian Grammys. They earned the National Peace Prize for their peaceful resistance. And what's most important, they regained their victim status, that they have been taken away from the government 2 years before because of a quite ugly campaign against them, a defamation campaign, which was orchestrated by the palm oil company and the paramilitary supporting them. Why did they regain that victim status? Some state officials came to see their concert and were deeply moved by their songs. They realized that the farmers couldn't be lying, but it was the other side that was the liars. This story shows how a small cultural project can have a strong political impact. The farmers were recognized for their suffering and loss. They were given aid and legal support to fight for their titles and to be able to work and live in dignity and peace. Art sparks social transformation. The life of the community has changed drastically through a small project. Because it is through music, it is through the process of composing those songs, it is through performing in front of a wider public that they have regained their credibility and have been their rights reestablished, have gotten their rights reestablished. The third story is from Myanmar. Let's visit our new Helvetas Open History project for a moment. The project enables a wide range of individuals to share their own personal memories, historical memories, and share viewpoints with others. These different perspectives of local history are put together and presented in a participatory documentary exhibition. Also, these exhibitions are recorded and made accessible on a virtual museum so they can be visited and compared. Just the fact that such a project is happening in Myanmar in itself is already something special. First, because there haven't been any projects like this before there, and second, to initiate such a project dealing with peace is not easy in Myanmar. Mostly for two reasons. First, the government doesn't like NGOs to deal with this topic. And second, the conflict context in Myanmar is so complicated and diverse. You have in every region completely different actors and a different different conflict history that it is hard to make sense of it, even for someone from Yangon. And now when we collect these memories of the people, there's a danger that some of these artifacts or documents or photos might convey a more of a dividing message than a connecting message. So it takes a lot of research, a lot of effort to make such a project conflict sensitive so that it contributes to pluralism and peace building. Now, what is the aim of this project? We want to give the population in Myanmar the possibility to learn about different interpretations of history and see their country and its history and people from different perspectives. Through making people see how other people see their context, we work on raising the awareness of the richness, of the diversity of their country, and hope that we somehow make people start to value this richness of diversity of their people. We're now heading towards the second exhibition in this new project. So far, the reactions have been quite positive. Population is very grateful, and we received feedback that they have learned a lot in this exhibition about their own past. They've also learned from the different perspectives of people that have participated, and they enjoyed learning about these different perspectives. And the young people that were engaged through photo contests and video contests really liked that they were somehow made to engage with the older generation and learned a lot from the elderly in their town. In the next exhibition, we want to strengthen the element of exchange and reflection, and that's why we will also offer guided tours and school and students' workshops, as well as discussion rounds to more actively engage people in these reflections. It is through such subtle approaches that we can make at least a small difference in contexts where acceptance and pluralism are highly needed to counter hate speech and conflict, be it religious or ethnic or because of other things. So art creates space for expression and exchange and reflection, particularly in places where this is not really possible because there's little space for diversity and exchange of different members of civil society, and where the space for human expression in all facets is small and ever shrinking. It is important to find means to strengthen this space in a subtle and uncontested way. Through exchange and dialogue, we work on people's attitudes towards each other, and hopefully the consequence will be that they change their behavior as well. Now, looking at these 3 examples and having in mind that there are many more examples of how you can work through the arts to promote peace building, I would like to ask you, don't you think we should do more of this? For me, it's clear. If we want to contribute to innovative and sustainable ways for social change, let's work more through the arts and culture, because arts and culture have proven in many ways and in many occasions to shape people's minds.